Hey, it's me Shane, Gemini Garage, and today what I really wanted to go over is space heaters and space heater safety. Not so much types of space heaters or what's a good one to get, but just some of the different kinds, the different electric kinds. I'm just kind of going to go over the ones that you plug into the wall. There's a lot of different kinds of space heaters out there, from diesel to ones that work off of the propane, you name it. But I'm just kind of going to go over the ones that you'd plug into the wall today. But there's a lot of things to go over with these. As you can see, these are just a few different incarnations of space heaters, stuff that you might have laying around. And when I say laying around, space heaters are something that you generally don't get rid of until they get too old or until they break, which that sometimes is not good. Sometimes we tend to use things like this a little bit too long past its use, or at least use it too long without really checking it out, cleaning it, make sure the elements are okay and that the cords are decent and all that. So again, that's what I'm going to focus on here, is just space heater safety. It's that time of year again, and we all use space heaters, whether it's to help keep a pet warm, or to keep maybe your farm equipment warm out in the shed, whatever. So yeah, I'm going to get myself organized here, and I'll get back at it, so stick with me. Okay, so the first thing I kind of want to go over, and I'm going to kind of plug each of these in individually and heat them up for a minute so you can kind of see the elements in them and how they work and what I'm talking about. But the first thing you really want to know about the space heater you're using is what kind of elements in it. If it's an older one or a cheaper one, it's probably got the old curly Q style elements, which like your dryers and your clothes dryers used to use those kind of elements. It's basically just like wire coils that just go around. They look like a spring that's stretched out, and there's several of them that are kind of all on this plate, and when you turn it on, they all glow red, and then there's a fan that blows over it, and that's where you get your heat from. Then over the last couple decades or so, they've come out with something else, which is a ceramic element, which instead of the wire, it's like a white piece of kind of a ceramic, almost kind of looks like a stone or a tile. These are very obvious. Again, we're only going over the electric heaters today, but the Mr. Buddy heaters, the gas propane Mr. Buddy heaters, those are a very obvious example of what was the word I was just saying? Of that white stone type of, I'm just not even going to try to remember the name of the ceramic element in there. So, because they're big and white, and you can see them in there. But some of these, like this one here has a ceramic, this one here has a ceramic, these two here have the coilies in it, and this kind of has an oddball type of an element in this one here. And then this here is like the old style radiators and houses used to have. In the old days, each room would have like one of these, and they'd all have a pipe going to them, and you could turn them on and off to let the, whether it may be water or oil or whatever they were using to heat up and flow through the heating units in a home. This is obviously a standalone unit. It does have oil inside of it. You plug it in and you turn it on, and it heats up and radiates heat off of it. This one I actually really like. It's really pretty efficient because once the oil and all this stuff heats up in here, once you turn it off, this thing stays fairly hot for 20 minutes or half an hour or so after after it's turned off, as opposed to ones like these where pretty much just a couple of minutes after they're turned off, there's no more heating going on. So this one here's definitely a really cool heater here. So, but with that, again, I'm going to plug these in real quick and get some kind of videos of how the elements in them work, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about as far as that goes, in case you don't know. Okay, so this heater here, has kind of a strange element in it. It's almost got what looks like a glass rod with a whole bunch of those like star washers kind of on the outside of it. I'm not exactly sure what kind of element you would call that, because it's not really a ceramic type of an element per se, but it's not really an all metal coiled one either. It's kind of an interesting combination of an element there, so I'm not sure what you call that one. But that's a 4-element heater. One of the elements is out, and as far as I can tell, there's really no way to fix or repair it. I could find some of those elements, but not for that particular heater, and it's old, so This would be a good example of a heater that's older, and it's probably one that you'd want to keep right by you. You wouldn't want to leave it unattended. This is one of those heaters, again, that's older. It doesn't, it's 3 elements, still heats pretty good, but because it's getting kind of older, when you get heaters that are a little bit older, that's when they need to be the ones that you're just going to turn on for a few minutes, or you're going to be right there with them on, not one to leave in the utility room or leave it out in the shop and leave it unattended. So again, some heaters are better left unattended than others, and like I said, if they're getting old and have any issues or not, probably not leave them unattended. So, but anyways, that's the kind of element that this one's got in it, and that's kind of what I use this one for. It's just when I need to heat up a room and then turn it off, and then I'm done. So, on to the next one here. Okay, the next one is this little guy here. And you can just barely see just a little red from one of these coils. This one has all the coilies in it that's like springs that are stretched out. I had 2 of them at the same time, and eventually the little coils in it broke apart. They got hot, they turned red hot, and then they broke apart and blew out. So you got to be careful with these types of heaters, because those little springy coil things in them can weaken, they can get brittle when they get old. And that can blow out of it, when it's still red hot. And if you've got that thing sitting in front of a rug or, something that could maybe catch fire. So again, certain space heaters maybe not the best for certain situations. And if you got to leave them unattended, or you've got one that something could happen, try to make sure there's nothing, a concrete floor in the middle of a room away from everything, pretty safe. But if you got it in the corner, if you got carpet, if you got anything that could catch on fire, you'd be kind of wary of those kinds of heaters. And this one here, you can't see it, but it's got one of the little elements in there too, a wire element that goes around, and it heats up and then the fan blows on it. This one's relatively new. It's only a couple years old, if you can see that. And that one there, again, that's one of the more ceramic, kind of a newer style element there. And that one's the same there. We'll plug this one in next. Okay, and this guy here, this space heater here poses an entirely new danger, because it oscillates and it moves around, and you leave this thing unattended, who knows what's going to happen. I've had this thing personally walk across the floor a little bit, so you might put it in the corner where it's safe, but then you go out the next day and maybe it's moved a little. So again, something to watch out for, depending on the fan and what features it might have. And on to the next one here. Okay, and this guy here, this radiating one here. This one here, there's no fan. Like I said, there's just some oil inside of here that heats up, and then it just kind of radiates off these fins. So no fan or anything like that. Pretty simple. It's noiseless, so if you like a fan that doesn't make any noise at all, there you go. Alright, and now I'm going to back out of here and talk a little bit more about how some of these things work, so stick with me. Okay, so there you go as far as some of the different kinds of elements that these things have in them. Again, any of the heaters that advertise as being like an infrared or something like that, they're probably using some type of a ceramic or something in them. The other thing that's really, really crucial and really, really important with space heaters, and this is a really big one. This is a really big one. This heater here, let me show you something. Let me just turn this one on. This one's plugged in, we'll just turn it on. Mode there, it's on high, and then I want it to oscillate. Just say. Okay. So there it is, just oscillating away, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the power went out. Oh, power surge, power's back on. It's not heating, and it's not oscillating. It's not doing anything, because it's basically digital. Like when you plug it in, you hear the beeping, and you know. So the problem is, and this one's the same way, and it's working, but power goes out. Now, I'm sure they make some space heaters nowadays that probably are supposed to hold their memory when the power goes out, but a lot of them don't, and that's a massive problem, because if you've got one of these space heaters someplace, I mean, I've kind of been going over, you know, things that you want to do to make sure, you know, what kind of element you're using and things, because, you know, the main fear with space heaters is them maybe catching on fire. But you could have a problem where they don't work at all. So if you, now this particular heater here, this one here, this one here, or this one here, they don't have any digital things going on inside of them. So if the power shuts off when it comes back on, the settings are going to be right where they were, and they'll come back on and continue to heat, you know, how they normally would. But you get these digital ones and you're not thinking about it, and you get a power outage or a power surge, which, you know, you're going to probably have at some point during the winter. You're going to forget to go out into the garage or go into wherever, you know, it is, that back bedroom or that whatever. You're going to forget to go back there and reset it and turn it on, and you could have a problem. So if you're going to have a space heater that's one that's more one you're going to have a little less unattended, make sure that it doesn't have some type of a digital you know, programming type of a thing on there. Make sure it's not a digital one. Make sure that it's a standard type one that's, when it, you know, when you unplug it and you plug it back in, it's going to do what you want it to do. So that's a big one there. The other thing again too is, and this is pretty obvious, but that's going over the cords on these things. And like this one here, the cord is just, it's gotten really kind of hard and kind of brittle, and I mean, when it's outside and it's cold, it almost feels like if you bend it, it's going to break. So, and this heater's got some age on it. So again, some of these heaters are old. I mean, this one's got some paint splatters on it. This thing's probably 12 or 13 years old at least. So you really, you know, you've really got to be careful, you know, with these older heaters. And another thing that's really kind of a major thing as far as heaters are concerned, and I'm looking at it right here in front of me, and that's this right here. Come here. Okay. And that's this lovable little guy here. Now, as you know, cats, they love to roam around. And so you want to make sure that if you've got a space heater or something laying around, that it's kind of animal proof, or that you don't have an animal that's going to chew the cord or knock it over. Which, again, like I was going to say, you want to make really sure that you go over these cords really good. And some of the cords are stiff, but the other thing too, most of these, a lot of them have this one has a tip over, a little switch underneath here where if it tips over, it'll shut off, but not all of them do. Some do, some don't. So you kind of got to. And some of them have an external switch. Some of them have like an internal mercury switch. It just kind of depends. But once again, a lot of people might use a space heater to keep an animal warm or keep something in the shop warm. And you've got to make sure that you know, your animal isn't going to somehow you know, cause a problem with the heater. So definitely got to make sure of that. I mean, you know, this guy's wanting to mess with the tag on the back of this one right here. So. There you go. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so we kind of went over the different types of elements that these things have. We kind of went over the fact that you really need to check the cords on them. We kind of went over the fact that some of them have a tip, you know, tip over switch and some don't. We kind of went over the fact you really need to pay attention if you've got animals roaming around. We went over the fact that you want to make sure you have, I guess you'd say, an analog and not a digital one if it's someplace that's unattended, where if the power goes off, you're gonna, not, end up having something freeze because you had a digital heater out there and the power went off and it didn't come back on. So that's pretty much the major things you really want to be concerned about and pay attention to. The next thing I'm going to do real quick is just go over a couple of examples of where and how you might want to use these, just to try to kind of be extra safe. So stick with me. Okay, so here's an example of just kind of this little, what do they call these areas? It's like a nook area in this kitchen here. You don't have any curtains or drapes, on your windows. You don't have any carpeting. This is all smooth. You're pretty safe here to use pretty much whatever kind of space heater, because there's not really a lot sitting around here that's going to catch on fire or something. So this is a pretty good situation for any heater. You do want to make sure though that you wouldn't do something stupid like, you're picking up, maybe you're going to vacuum, and so here's the chew toy, and you set that up there, and then the next thing you know, Mr. Slinky Kitty comes over here and decides he wants to just kind of bat it down so it's hanging like that, and then the next thing you know, it's on the floor. And then the next thing you know, that element gets a little crusty. So I'm just saying, you want to make extra sure, and I know this sounds stupid, but like I've said before, you really want to be extra safe with your space heaters with stuff laying around them, because it's just it's these stupid things that cause. Watch your local news. You're going to see several fires, probably every month throughout the winter. Some of it's going to be wood stoves and fireplaces, but a lot of it's going to be space heaters and heat lamps and stuff like that. So once again, you might put your heater there. It might be a great space, pretty safe area there, but once again, it just takes one animal toy, or you can just see the cat right now is having a ball playing with the tag on the back of the cord there. So once again, pay attention. All right, next. So maybe you've got a utility room, got a washer and dryer. Maybe it's kind of detached from your house, or it's out in the garage, or it gets a little bit chilly and you don't want it freezing up out there. A lot of people put a space heater in their laundry room, in their utility room. Something like this here, probably pretty okay. You got your metal dryer that's on here, and the floor in here is all just linoleum, so not a lot to go wrong here. However, there is a laundry basket sitting right next to it here. There's no clothes in it, but you wouldn't want to really have that stacked maybe full of clothes if you've got the heater right there. Just something to think about. But like I said, this scenario here would most likely be okay. Now, something you really wouldn't want to do is have it on that rug there like that, because if that gets too hot or one of those little coils breaks off, it could come out and catch on that rug. And then, because you're going to have that rug there and that heater there, if you have any animals in there, your little one's going to want to get up there and take a nap up there too, in front of the heater too. So again, just kind of be careful what you're going to have around your heater. Ordinarily that one would probably be pretty fine, but you really don't need the old stringy rug on top of it there, or underneath it there. Okay, and again, this is one of the radiating ones. This doesn't have an electric fan in it, or any kind of coil elements that are exposed, or anything that you can see. It's just basically oil filled with a heating element inside of there that heats the whole thing up. Like I said, this one's probably, in my opinion, one of your safer bets for, actually in the house, in your bedroom. It doesn't make any noise, and you probably, because it doesn't have a fan or anything on it, you probably have less chance of something getting in there, something blowing into the fan, or some, excuse me, you probably have less chance of debris or something getting into the heater, because all heaters have those grills and those grates on the front of them. So your odds of something dropping down or falling in there and catching on fire are a little bit better. Or if the heating element itself gets brittle, that could blow out. This thing here, you've got a little bit less chance of that happening because, like I said, there's no open area to the heating element and there's no fan in there. So probably pretty good for, like I said, in the bedroom, carpeted areas, really any place where you really don't want to have to worry about a fan motor, or especially, like I said, it doesn't make any noise. So if you guest bedroom or something, you don't want to keep the guests awake, it's good for that too. So anyways, next up, and real quick, while I'm thinking about it, this particular heater here, the one that oscillates, and also the one that's got the digital, one of the ones that has the digital programming in it, so that if the power shuts off, it doesn't know what it's supposed to do when it comes back on. Another thing to check for on all of these heaters, because they're all different, some have them and some don't. One day this thing came on and it stopped working, and I was like, well, what's going on with that? And I started looking at it. This one actually kind of has an air filter element in the back. So you take this out here, and if this gets clogged, which it is and it's really dirty, then it will shut off and it won't work. So if you have a space heater that is shutting off or not working, make sure that it doesn't have some type of a filter on it. If they're really filthy and dirty inside and they've just been laying around a long time and you want to clean them, you can get some electrical cleaner. I'll try and post some pictures of some electrical cleaner up that you could use. But you can use some electrical, they make this stuff like it's in a spray can that you can spray inside of there and just kind of hose all that crap off of there. If you know what you're doing, like in the summertime, if it's a really hot day out, you could take these things out and kind of hose them out a little bit. And if you let them, take the screws out, kind of crack them open, hose them out, and let them sit out there in the sun for a couple days. But that's something I really wouldn't recommend you do unless you know exactly what you're doing. If you have a space heater that's really, really filthy or really, really dirty, find somebody that knows how to clean it. Find somebody that's got an air compressor that can blow it out with compressed air. Or maybe try taking a vacuum cleaner and vacuuming some of the stuff out of there. But again, got to make sure that if they've got a filter, or even if they don't, that they're not just full of dust bunnies and lit. Okay, again, now this little space heater here, this is the one that I just showed you that had the filter on the back of it. This one, again, I keep this just in my bathroom. I don't like to use my giant heat pump HVAC system for a lot of reasons. It just uses a lot more electricity than what it needs to for what I need it for. So like I said, I have a lot of space heaters around my place for various reasons. Because again, this one is one of those ones I really wouldn't want to leave it unattended, because if the power shuts off, it's not gonna reset itself to come back on. And again, it oscillates, so it can have a tendency to walk around a little bit. So this is one that I just turn it on when I'm going to be in here for a few minutes to warm it up, and then I turn it off. It's not one that I leave unattended. I just pretty much reach down here and turn it on like that. I let it run for usually 10 or 15 minutes, and then when I'm done with it, I just turn it off. So again, I don't have anything there is a rug right here. If I'm going to have it on, sometimes I'll move this over a little bit, but again, it doesn't move around too much. I kind of got it propped up. It doesn't walk too much because it's kind of sitting up to that vent right there. But again, this is a use that I would use this type of a heater for. I would not put this one, like on the carpet in the corner where I had that other one. As I said before, just kind of think about what the best area is for, the type of heater that you're using. Okay, this one's here is one that I have out in the little pump house out here. This is where I have some water bladder and some plumbing and the pump and stuff out here. And this room usually holds its temperature pretty good, but once in a while if you get a cold snap or something, it could get down to freezing. So don't want it freezing in here, so I keep this little space heater in here. Again, this is one that if the power shuts off, it doesn't matter. When it comes back on, it'll remember what it was set at because it's just mechanical settings there. Manual thermostat and manual fan speed. And you can see it's kind of sitting on some pavers there, so there's really not a lot of stuff in the way around it for it to catch on fire. You kind of try and be mindful of that. Again, there's no guarantees, but as long as you're reasonably careful and just try and situate it so that if something were to happen, that it's not gonna do too much, then you're okay. So again, just another example. Now I wouldn't use, again, for something like this, I wouldn't use a digital one because you don't want to have your power surge and then have the heater not come on and then freeze your plumbing. So definitely a good area to have an analog style heater, or at least a little backup one in here, so that Okay, and here's an example. This is a different color. This heater's black instead of a cream colored, but this is another one of those radiating heaters. This is out here in a little bathroom that's in a shop, and again, this is an area where you really wouldn't want it to freeze up if if the power went off and the heater didn't reset itself. You really wouldn't want your bathroom to freeze. Pretty good place to put a heater of whatever kind you want, because there's just a concrete floor in here, and you can always move those mats, those rubber mats around, so there's just really not too much to have to worry about in here with that. But again, just kind of another example of where you'd maybe want a certain kind of heater, depending on your situation. And this is another example. This is an old motorhome here. This is another example of something that you may have a space heater in, or you want to keep it warm, but you really got to be careful of what kind of heater you're using. Something like an RV, because you can get rodents and everything else in there. So you'll notice it got another one of these radiating style heaters in there. And also, you wouldn't want a fan driven heater, or one with too much of an element in it, because this one happens to be kind of sitting on this rug right there. Of course, you could remove the rug, and you should if you had a heater sitting on it, but with this style heater, I feel pretty safe with it sitting on this rug. Of course, I check it, usually this one every couple days anyways, but nevertheless, again, another example of where you would probably have a space heater, and where you really want to kind of pay attention to what kind you're using. So there you go. All right, well, I think that's going to do it. Again, I just really kind of, I wasn't trying to promote particular brands or styles of space heaters, but there's a lot of different kinds of space heaters out there, and then, we've all got, as you can see, numerous ones laying around the house. So I just kind of wanted to give everybody a heads up and remind you to check everything out. If I had a checklist to go over, I guess you'd probably want to say, check the cord first, check the inside and the elements to make sure it doesn't have any kind of a filter, check and look in the inside to make sure it just isn't full of dust or dirt or anything that could be flammable. You want to make sure it's, figure out whether it's a digital kind or an analog kind, so that if you put it in a room or someplace where it may be unattended and you have a power surge or a power outage, you're not going to end up with something frozen when the power comes back on and the heater doesn't know to reset itself. And then, of course, there's just basically the surface that you're going to be setting it on. Look around for anything that might fall if a cat or a dog or a rodent, gets in the room. Again, the surface you're setting it on, a hard surface, a tile surface, a concrete surface versus maybe a carpeted surface or a rug. And then, of course, if you have to do that, it might depend on the kind of heater. If you have to do it on a rug or on the carpet, then maybe you want something that's, got a ceramic type of an element in it with the tip over switch, or maybe something like this that doesn't have any kind of fan in it at all, just kind of radiates. So once again, just pay attention, check your area really good where you're going to put it, look your heater over really good. And even when they're brand new, check them out, because you can get defective heaters, and I've seen them where they've had really shoddy cords on them even when they're brand new. So make sure you check that. So with that, again, just wanted to make sure everybody checks their space heaters and where they're putting them, and stay safe and stay warm. So, thanks for watching. Shane, Gemini Garage.